the growth record has not been very good, but it's also not been very bad. Growth has clearly not regained the extremely fast growth of 8% a year in the earlier part of the century. There's no doubt about that. And the country's economy was, of course, terribly hit by COVID. And I don't think most people would blame the government for that. There clearly were mistakes made, but I don't think that explains that. That was sort of an act of God, if you like. So don't blame the government for this. But on the other hand, some of the problems they inherited in terms of bad loans, the state of the banking sector and so forth, seems to have been dealt with relatively slowly. There is a perception that the government took some rather whimsical decisions like demonetization, which we never really understood what the point of this was, and seems to us probably has, certainly to me, undermined confidence to some degree in the stability of government policy. And then there is, though the measurement of growth is very uncertain, there's a lot of doubt about the quality of the statistics now, but it looks as though some big problems are emerging in terms of relatively weak investment in the private sector in particular, the public sector. There's been very real development of infrastructure, but the public finances look very stretched with very large fiscal deficits. So how do you raise investment durably, which will clearly be needed if growth is to go back up to 8% or more? Where does the money come from? That's really not quite clear. The macroeconomic management has been tolerable. Inflation has been reasonably well managed, but these structural problems are still very clearly there. And then there's concern, I think, about trade policy, and India seems to have still quite a strong emphasis on self-sufficiency, resistance to specialization in line with comparative advantage. And I think that will probably mean that it will continue not to be fully integrated into the world economy. And that, I think, remains, even in these more difficult times, a prime opportunity for development. So this is the sort of broad economic record. Finally, I think, and the last area I will touch on, which is the attempt to build out some sort of welfare state. I think there's a recognition the government has been really quite successful and quite determined to improve public services for the mass of the people in water, sanitation and things of this kind, employment and so forth, building on its predecessor, the inclusivity of the financial system, the movement to more efficient payment systems, which are sort of integrate economics and welfare. This seems to be something of a success. So as I indicated, our perception is a very important country with large potential, with a very strong government, with so far a somewhat mixed record in politics, economics, and broadly welfare, but some clear successes.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.
यार फिर से स्टॉक्स में फंस गया।
तो स्टॉक्स के साथ बॉन्ड्स, इंश्योरेंस, गोल्ड में बैलेंस कर।
इसमें बहुत तामझाम है।
तुझे 5 पैसा नहीं पता?
अब तो सबको पता है। 5 पैसा है ऑल इन वन अकाउंट। डाउनलोड 5 पैसा नाउ।
अब तो सबको पता है। Investing made easy and rewarding with 5 paisa. Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.